Good afternoon, everybody. Well, it's about almost evening here at almost 6 p.m. New Zealand time, and wherever you are, welcome, hello, and thank you for joining us for the first inaugural PlungeX series that we're going to be doing, which is basically talking with more mature content creators. Sort of like the like in New Zealand we call it M15, which is you can have certain amount of content, but not too violent, not too, uh, you know, sexual, and not too brutal. But then you also get like the R18 content where it can be, more, nudity and so on, and the themes are a bit more aggressive, and it's horror content and stuff that you don't want like a child picking up basically. So I decided that it's good to maybe a good idea to just do something that just deals with those content, because yesterday we were talking to Niobe Comics and Astro City Atrocity Press, and they were talking about how they themselves create that. But on the stream that we had with PlungeCast, I was like, this is a PG all ages thing, so please, we'll leave that out. So today with me I have Nicole Kane, and she's the author and writer on this Fox and Hound issue number 5. And I'm going to ask Nicole to just talk about that for a bit, because I just met and found out this today, and so we rushed through to get this out there. They've got 15 days to fulfill their goal, and they've, basically 75% is already there, and I'm just hoping that you guys will support that. So take it away, Nicole.
Hi, everyone. So, as we've established, my name's Nicole Kane. I'm a writer from Sydney, Australia, so just across the water. And I've been writing the Fox and Hound series for about 5 years now. So yeah, it kind of is one every year. And basically the story came from a spin-off of another series, but I loved the girls so much that I thought they sort of deserved their own story and life, really.
Right.
The way I pitch it is basically there are two mercenaries who try and get as much cash as they can, and every time they do it, it just goes horribly wrong. So, yeah, as you were saying, it is a bit of a mature series. There is some not safe for work stuff in there, and we do have some not safe for work stuff on the Kickstarter campaign. But as everything is, I think comics are sort of evolving into more adult topics now.
Yeah.
It's not just, here's the kapow, the bam and the wham sort of thing. It is a bit more in depth. There's more to the characters. There's more to their personal lives, and it does entangle things that come from our normal lives too.
Right.
I'm an Aussie, so unfortunately, I have a bad habit of swearing all the time, and so do my characters. Seems to be a running theme. But yeah, I've been working on the girls for a very long time. My artist, Chris Pitcairn, has been doing issues 3 to 6 now, and we've been really enjoying it. We've been sort of working on the girls together and moving them in a different direction than I originally had, but it works better. So, yeah, it's been super, super fun. And people have loved it over the years. I've got some people who have come back and gone, oh, do you have the next one? Do you have the next one? So it's been a real nice journey. And this is not the end of them either. Like once we hit issue 6, that's just the first story arc, and then we'll move to the next one.
So with this, you said that came out of something else. What was that something else that came out of?
So it came out of a series called Nothing Man. We kind of, me and the artist at the time, he was an American, we were working together on that, and we wanted the girls sort of separately. And we kind of thought, okay, well, we can't just shove them in this book. They need their own book. Right. So the first 2 issues are actually done by him. And then that's when Chris picked up from issue 3 and continued on.
All right. So was issue 1 and 2 like a one arc? So
it was only supposed to be one arc, but when Chris started working on it, I think we got to the end of issue 4, and he went, there's just so much more to these girls, and there's so much more to the world that they belong to, that we could really go further with this.
So I'm just going to check on this video you've got here, and we'll just watch that for a bit. And
Sure.
pretty cool, short and sweet, enough information, and letting people know that yeah, this is issue 5 and stuff. This is really cool. So you've got a goal here of I mean, we're looking at New Zealand dollars here, but what's your goal in Aussie dollars? Because ours is a bit
In
smaller.
Aussie dollars, it's $4,000.
Right.
And that literally covers everything in the Kickstarter and us getting it printed and paying the artist.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, like, it's a lot of work goes into creating a comic book, which people don't know about. And like, there's a lot of, if you aren't involved in the creative side of it, you don't really understand how the process works and how much time
That's it.
can take. And
Yeah.
and especially, just if you're writing it, you just go, you sometimes get blocks and you sort of go, yeah, you take it one way, then you realize that's not the way you want to go. And then you keep going, you try to pull it back as a writer. But then you sort of, like, once you're finished with it, you hand it over to an artist and you go, here you go. And they come back with something more that, sometimes than you think. And then you got to sort of, like, balance it out. And so how did you find working with Chris on this?
So Chris and I have worked together on several projects already. So I know him very well. And we aren't scared to sort of throw stuff at each other and basically go, this isn't good enough, or I don't know about this part, or this dialogue doesn't make sense. So our collaboration work is very much cohesive of each other. And I love working with him. He's my head artist for most projects, but he has done other projects with other writers and things like that. So he's quite diverse in his style. But when he worked on Fox and Hound, it was something really out of his wheelhouse. And he really embraced the girls. He was just like, I'm going to do research on female anatomy, make sure that looks right, and try not to make them completely unproportionate, and, how some superheroes are. So, yeah, he really does dig in and do the research. Even if you don't ask him to, he just goes, I don't think this works. Let's make it better.
Yeah. Now, we were just looking at the cover there. So this is Chris's work here, right?
Yes.
Interior art.
So, yeah, his style has just improved with each book he's done.
So this is, tell us a bit about the story itself. Like, I mean, it looks like a, pretty graphic, brutal.
Well, this is where the story sort of pivots and gets a bit brutal and explains what's been happening through issues 1 to 4. Issue 1 to 4 was basically the introduction to the girls, and then they had their sort of like front man killed. So then they started following the clues, and in this issue you find out really where those clues have come from, which is actually Hound's past. Right. So she's hiding a few secrets that get revealed in this issue.
Awesome. I do love the artwork. Like, I mean, it's very, it's got that horror element to it, and, the gore that comes in, but it's not like gory, like sometimes it can be like too brutal, but like, I think the colors here really work to actually balance it out. Now, do you have a different colorist on this, or is Chris the colorist?
Nope, Chris does everything. As soon as I hand him the script, he does the pencils, inks, colors. He does the lettering on this one, and then he'll hand it back to me, and I'll do all the formatting for it to be web version and then print version. Right.
So do you design the book yourself, or does he do that?
Nope, I do that.
Awesome.
So, yeah, we're a really good team together. doing each part of the process.
Right. It's good to have that that symbiotic relationship with the artist. And I found like, I mean, I'm working several myself, and some, some sort of like don't understand the long journey, and sort of like they don't understand that there's a long journey to this. You do have a 6-issue series or something, and and so it's like people turning up to work and they go, it's too hard. Like I remember like I went to work for a biscuit factory, right? And when I was like about 17 years old, and I was getting paid about $6.50 an hour. And the first day I went in, because you had this big, double oven, like huge oven, like doors, right? Like double fridge type, just huge, like probably about 6 foot by 6 foot square ovens that you walk into and you get out. And after that 8 hours I worked, I was so sweaty and so dehydrated because every time the doors open, the heat just hit you. And so I was walking home with one of the girls there, one of the married girls that was working there. This was my first day, and I said, I'll never come back again. I hated that. I'll never come back again. I was there for 3.5 years almost. And worked for about six. I think I went from like about $5.50 to $6.90 after those 3 years. And I think a lot of people kind of come at comics and they don't understand the long journey, the stress, the struggles that you're going to go through, and not every project's going to be successful, and not everybody's going to be backing that straight away. And
how
did you find with your projects, because you're on the 5th issue here? What was it like when you first did it? Is this the one that you first did, or is there another one?
So I had a bunch of them that didn't fund in the very beginning, like this is 7 years ago kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which was disheartening, because you think, I've done something cool, somebody will like it, but that's not how that goes. You have to build people's trust and love for your work. And that's where sort of the people come back, which is great, And each season sort of fluctuates. Some people get more, some people get less, and it just sort of depends on what you're doing at the time. But yeah, each one of the Fox and Hound ones has successfully funded, which is great.
Yeah.
My other 2 projects have successfully funded, which was the Hell Courtesan and Queen Bee.
Yep.
So it was nice to see those being valued as well. And Kickstarter is very hard. It's pretty much a full-time job when you run one.
Right.
You have to sort of be on it. You have to be updating it. You have to be updating some of the rewards, packages, things like that. So, yeah, it is hard. And I think it is a labor of love for people who want to do it. They have to be able to go, okay, we do want to do this. And this is something that we'll put all of our energy into, not necessarily time. Like I've got a full-time job that I do to fund this, because this does not get me any profit, but I do it because this is where I want to work in 10, 15 years time. And I know that it does take time. You can't be a writer overnight.
Yeah, I think, and that's what I mean. Like people don't understand that, you step out with something and everybody's gonna love it. You have to build a audience for it. You have to, like you said, build trust, and because people are bringing you money and they don't even know who you are. And like I've seen big names like not honor their stuff, and if people can see big name people in the industry don't honor and fulfill their commitment, or with their campaign to people who have spent thousands and thousands of dollars on them, it's kind of like disheartening, because it means like, well, they probably expect us younger one, new, smaller content creators of comics to the same way. Kind of like the stigma becomes like it's us, whether like Mars or smears everybody else who is trying. And I think that's that kind of like that reflection is kind of sad. So every time we're trying to, this is my first time ourselves with Incredible, but like with you guys, you're on the fifth one here. You have built slow, over 5 years, right, of actually getting the trust, winning over the trust of people by fulfilling goals. Has it been hard fulfilling goals?
It kind of has. COVID and Australia Post really did mess things up during that time. It wasn't easy at all trying to get supplies and packages and things printed when everything was closed. So it was not great.
Now, what has been because the thing is that during COVID, a lot of businesses did close down, and even today I was watching a podcast and they were talking about a shop that people had got CGC, bought CGC items through, and that those shops were using the whole shutdown and all this as an excuse not to honor the prepaid items to the people, and CGC had to get involved and say, hey, what we got and all that. And so I think we're 8 months out of that 2-year period of COVID. I think a lot of people, at this point are going, well, if you haven't delivered now, it's probably never going to come. But I think with your guys' track record, even with COVID, you've been able to get through that and honor that. And I think that's going to, that is a plus, and a feather in your cap, right?
Well, that's it. Like, it took forever to honour the pledges, but at the end of the day, they still were honoured, which is more important than anything else, really. But I think you're right. I think there are quite a lot of people who take a lot of time to honour pledges. There are a lot of people out there who drop their pledges because they're just scared of what's going to happen with it. But that's the beauty of Kickstarter, I guess. It's a bit of a gamble, but if you can trust the people like what you do and that they do want to support you at the end of the day, even if we don't get banked, having people on it still means people want to see it. Right. And that makes me happy.
And the other thing is, like, what I enjoy is seeing photos of people holding people's books once they've been delivered. And it's something that, like, if you look on the back of like something like Saga, they'd have like people would get tattoos and stuff, or they'd hold up the comic book, like, this is my comic book, and thank you for, I got it finally, and I'm so excited, I read it, and so on. And then you send that photo back, and then you can share that and say, yes, we honored that. And I think that's sort of like evidence of having someone actually unknown or whatever out there in the world saying, yes, it was delivered, I have got it, it arrived, it was, and you all sort of feel fearful about things arriving damaged. Like, have you run into that as well, where items have arrived but they haven't arrived?
Australia Post has stuffed us over so many times, it's not funny, but what can you do? We've only got the one post carrier here. So I'm trying to find ways, especially from my last Kickstarter, when a lot of people came back and said that the packaging was not protective enough. So I've now stepped up the game and gone, okay, I need bigger, better packaging, even for anything from one single issue to all of them being ordered with the extras and the posters and everything like that. I'm just sitting there going, okay, this is a big thing that you have to think of.
So we got a PlungeX Net AU Australia, I guess. So hi, special peeps, you rock. Thank you, sir, ma'am. We appreciate that. It's our first, like I said, it's our first stream, and we get to talk about mature content, and I think this is cool. So, what was like? Once you send it, it's out of your control, right? There's nothing else you can do to protect it. I think for me, I'd be like, this is how I'm wrapping it. Here's a photo of everything. All these things that are wrapped up really well. You know, I mean, on my book, right? I'm not doing that because I've got somebody else doing that who's actually does that professionally. But like, I'm like, you know, there's so much. So like, I had experience last year. I bought a CGC, I think, gosh, might have been 8.5 from a friend, like a friend I've known for about almost 20 years now, who's a shop owner, and he does deals with back issues rather than like current issues, and he hunts down things that you want and stuff like that. But that's Jeremy Bishop in Auckland, Arkham Comics, I think he does it. So I bought this, it was a private sale with him, and he sent it, right? So he sends the book and really well packaged. So now the courier guy comes up the stairs and throws it at me. And I'm not ready to catch it. I don't even know, I step out to, say, hey, how's it going? While I'm going, hi, because he scared me because I jumped back because I was like, I didn't expect him because I didn't expect that there was somebody there because he came up the stairs. I jumped back and he threw the friggin' thing at me. And I'm like, and it dropped, right? The CGC book dropped on the concrete. But the cool thing was I had a pattern mat, on in front of my door, and so it kind of softened the hit. But man, I was like, I just spent $350 on this.
Right? Yeah, you're panicking.
Yeah, and this is a book that I really wanted, and I was like, oh, I gotta open it. So I'm like opening it. He's gone, right? And I'm opening it. I'm going, okay. And the way it was boxed, like packaged, it was so well protected that it did not crack the slab, the plastic casing. It didn't crack that. And I actually talked to Jeremy. I said, look, man, dude, we could have had a massive fail here, and it didn't because the way you packaged it, right? And I mean, the guy threw it at me. You don't expect somebody to throw your items at you, but I have seen a lot of YouTube videos where people have been messing around. But the other thing is people stealing property like that, right? When it's left on your doorstep. Have you ever had something like that happen with your books?
So I live in an apartment block, so it's not as common with us because they bring it through the main door, so it's pretty okay. Speaking of things being damaged, when I did my Hell Courtesan campaign, I actually ordered special hardcover books for the campaign. So they were limited edition. I don't have any more of them. I literally have one on my shelf for me, and that's it.
Yeah.
But when I got them ordered, there was one damage, which is my one.
Right.
The corner of it's slightly bent or something like that. And then I realized, I went, oh my God, I have to protect those corners when I'm shipping them out.
Yeah.
So ended up putting like little sort of cardboard triangles on the edges of the book just to protect it, because I knew that the post would just throw it around. So, and this is all stuff that a creator has to do, not just a writer. If you're any kind of creator, if you're the artist who has the idea and is producing this, you basically become a one-man band in marketing and business.
Yeah. I mean, it is your baby, right? I mean, like, it is something that you've dreamed up, or and especially if it is your, something that you've created yourself. Because, like, with Courtesan, was it your own property?
Yes.
Your own IP?
Yes, it's all mine.
Right. So you're more protected of that than anything else that you could think of, because this is your creation. And I feel the same with my books, right? With my stories I'm writing, and and my art is creating. I'm like, I'm so protective of what people will see out there of it. So, like, I mean, last year we did this, right? So I went out and paid a couple $100 and got about 40 of these made, 50 of these made as limited series. But the thing was that this is the artwork in it, and I wasn't happy. Once it was printed, and I put it out there, but I wasn't happy with it because it was something that I did as a web comic, and then we decided to do it as a it's a comic book. And that's the artwork's cover artwork, all the cover work was amazing. Shane Evans did an amazing job. That's why we're going to release them with the #1. But like I wasn't happy with my own work inside. So I spent the last year working with another artist for writing some comics, Kevin Zimmerman, and we redid, reworked. I rewrote the story, and I looked at how to give it a faster pace, less text, until I was satisfied, with the way the story was going to be told. And not only that, I changed the costume as well, right? I modernized the costume because I wasn't happy with what I was going to give to the world. And so there's there's about 20 of these left, right? And some of them, the blank covers, the couple like I did, which was like a wraparound cover, and all that, just one-offs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you want to put your best foot forward to the world because we live in a global market, and it's your IP and your creativeness. How was it like getting your first book out there?
Well, my first book was just a little ash can sort of thing, but you feel really proud that you've printed it and everything like that. And it didn't really go very far, but it was still a step forward. And people did like it, and I still print it now. Like, I've just put it into a big anthology piece. And
Awesome.
you do get this sense of like, I can do this and I can go further. My first big one was the Hell Courtesan. Like, I'd been doing Fox and Hound for a while, and I love the girls and everything, but with the Hell Courtesan, that was the first book I got in a store.
Right.
And to see it on a shelf, I pretty much broke down in tears. As a little girl, I just went, oh God. But I actually pulled my mum and I were in the city, and I said, look, I just want to step into my comic book store, my local, that I go to all the time. Shout out to King's Comics. And I said, I just want to go grab something. So she came in, and she's kind of looking around at all the stuff and, keeping quiet. And I said, Mum, come and look at this. And I dragged around, and it was sitting there on the shelf. And I said, that's mine. And she kind of looked at me. It took her a few seconds to realize. And then she was like, oh, okay. I said, that's mine. That's my work. And she was a bit taken aback by it. But then she rang me the same night, a couple of hours later, and went, oh, you know what? I'm so proud. And I told your father, and I'm so glad. And so that was a moment I'll remember having, which is really nice. It's something that you can take away and go, I do feel proud. And then everything else on top of that, getting it published with Markosia, getting nominated for a Ledger Award, you sort of sit there and go, wow, I can do this. Like, I can make these amazing stories, and not just for me, for the entire world.
Yeah, because you're creating art to show what you are, or what you kind of like what your heart is about, right? What your passion is about, what your dreams are about.
It's all about your passion, and all about how much you put into the work that you'll get out of the work.
And to have that final piece on the shelf, right? After all that hard work, having it on the shelf and next to everybody else's, it's like, you're kind of like at the stage of like, yes, I've arrived. And so tell me about this Ledger thing with nominations and stuff like that.
So the Ledger Awards is basically our awards in Australia for comic books. It's been going for quite a while now, and it's one of the most prestigious things that I can think of in comic books. I know there's the Ringo Awards for America and the Eisners as well, but for us, this is a big deal. I hadn't really submitted much, but I'd always sort of attended if it was in Sydney. I know I went to support a couple of artists who were also nominated a couple of years. But to get nominated myself, even though we didn't win, the nomination is massive because you're getting acknowledged by these incredible people in the Australian comic book industry.
Right.
And they're saying, yeah, you're doing good. So, to watch everyone else and to have so many people around you at conventions and things like that, and you feel like the little fish here, it was a sign that we were on the right track.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's out there now, right? So, I mean, like, the thing, which is
Absolutely.
kind of like, the weird thing here is, like, I haven't heard of that being in New Zealand. I'm not aware of that, right? I mean, like, I don't think there is one award for comic book creators in New Zealand, because we're very individual here, and there is no sort of like network system in place. You show up to Armageddon, you show up to something like our event, which is just recently people have like with Shane Evers last year, this year, sorry, I should say, put his book out. I think Chronicles of the Wasteland, right? I think he's got 3 issues on it, but he's got 1 issue out, and so he put that out through a Christchurch outfit called I think it's run by Jason Lenny down there, and he's a good friend of ours. And the other thing is, like, so that was the first time at our event that he had done it, but like, whereas last year we put this one out like with the webcomic, right? We sold about 10 issues or something, but like, we ourselves were putting comics out, and then we started saying this year, you know what, when we're doing this plunge cast, this live streams, I started thinking, and Shane started thinking, and we started talking to the guys about, why don't you guys send us your comics and we'll sell it on your behalf, because you don't have to travel all the way here from the bottom of the South Island, or the 2-hour drive to get here. Just send it to us and we'll put it there next to our comics, and we'll try to sell it for you guys on your behalf, and we'll take a fee for the store or whatever. And then the more people do it, the less the cost of running the store, but you get to show your piece alongside everybody else's as a creator, that you don't actually have to pay to be there, right? And we can show yourself, we can promote you on the live stream, so people can actually watch you before they even come to your book, see your book, and I think that's what sort of like has been in our head, to try to say to all the other independent conventions, like, start kind of thinking that way, network that way, where you guys can like grab a whole bunch of local creatives and their books and start promoting them right at your shows. It's like, take a bit overhead to cover your costs, but at least your books are getting out there to more people, people that you might not even actually would have thought would like your book or even think about your book, would now be able to see it and see your work and stuff alongside everybody else's that are in the same field. And you get to showcase your creation. You can package it the way you want, put posters in it, put postcards in it, put stickers in it, put pins in it, right? And it's up to you to do that. And I think there's been like the only way people have really thought about it, like Supernova, right? You guys got in Australia, you got Supernova, we've got Armageddon here, and they've only thought like the Artist Alley and that's it. And but what happens after that? So you spend like another 4 months doing nothing, but with that book, you go hard out, try to create it, send it out yourself, or you network with other people and say, hey, can you sell this at your event for us? And we'll work out a deal with the wholesale sellers, what the markup is, and all that. And I think it's like trying to be a comic store, but at an event,
Yeah, well, like there was one of the groups wanted to see if they could do that with the American conventions as well, which is a huge, deal if you're here in Australia or even New Zealand.
Yeah,
it's hard to sort of get your books overseas. It's very expensive. Yeah. It's very hard to find a publisher over there.
Yeah,
so it's not a bad idea.
Yeah. But there is a lot of trust to that as well, right? So you don't want to be like, give it to somebody fly-by-nighters, right? As we call it in New Zealand. Someone who's just pops up and goes, yeah, you want to, you don't want to put it with someone who's done it for 2-3 years and has got is known in the community, and that they're not gonna like rip you off. Like I had like about 9 books that I got from a gentleman named, a big name in our community here in New Zealand, Adrian Kennard. who does Earth's End book, Earth's End publishing, and so he had I think he sent us 3 of each. I asked him. It took me about maybe 3 years to sell them all because, of course, this isn't Marvel, this isn't DC, this isn't branded, recognized properties. But I was able to send him, a bank deposit, internet deposit of what I was owed, for those books eventually. So, and that's what got me started. Like, hey, if I can do that with Adrian's books, with those, books like Terry Teo, Dharma Punks, from not Alan Veer, it's oh gosh, I can't remember. But like, and those are big books, like hardcovers and stuff like that. So you're paying $40 compared to say to $10, and people, for floppy. So people go, oh, I want the floppy, right? But then you try to get them interested in what that, why that is $40, and you look at how long it would take to do that book and stuff, and you're able to communicate, really try to sell it. It's almost like being a salesperson for somebody else, and once you kind of have that trust, I think it could work. But I mean, it is about building trust, like we're doing right now, right? We're promoting, books and Hound here on our stream and from New Zealand, right? And I want to talk about the covers and what's you got to offer here before we go further.
Yeah.
Right.
So we've got. You can see the 2 covers one? There.
Yeah.
So we usually try and. Huh?
Is this by different artists? Let me go full screen. Is this by different artists or they're the same artist?
Nope, same artist. It's all Chris.
Right.
So we've got the normal covers, and then we try and do something that matches with a not safe for work cover.
Right.
That's
so is this one of the not
stars on it.
NSW?
Yeah, definitely. We've been doing that for a while. So these are all the normal covers.
Right.
And then I think we've got the not safe for work ones as well. There we go. Yep. Right. So we've had different artists do a few of those as well over the years, which has been nice.
With these not safe for work, right? More mature content. Did you find they sell more than the regular ones?
It's kind of even.
Okay.
I don't sort of push it. Like when I'm at a convention, they're sort of off to the side, and I sort of mention that we do have the other covers, and sometimes people will go for them, and some people will be like, "No, I'll just take the normal one because it's going to sit on my shelf." So yeah, it just depends on who's really looking. A lot of people like to look at them just out of curiosity. They're just like, I've never seen this, because a lot of the stuff at the conventions here is very sort of
PG,
child friendly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard to sort of find anything a bit more mature.
Right. So yeah, I did this with one of our that I had to share on Facebook, on a Plunge Studios page. So what I did there was we've got a nude, risque bedroom scene wraparound cover, and I did the same thing because it's not colored yet, but I did the same thing because when you're on Facebook, right, and just like here on Kickstarter, right, anybody can run across it, and you don't know if they're using a what is it called, anonymous sort of search engine to look at it, and you can't, and is that why you've basically done the same thing that I've done, where you blacked out certain areas of genitalia and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Do you get do people go, have you got one without that, so I can have a look at it, if there's some can you send me that uncensored bit before I go and buy it? Do you get that sort of thing, or is it people don't bother with that?
Look, I do get people who are like, what does the image actually look like? And I don't have a problem sending it to them, if they ask me the question, or I'll email it and stuff like that, just so that they can see it at the end of the
Yeah.
day before they buy it, which is absolutely fine. You can always ask me the question. I'm pretty much online all the time. So.
Yeah, we seem to be like with us in the creative elements like this, and especially in the comic books. We basically live on social media now because we're trying to get our our property out there. Hey, tell me about this. Is this a badge?
Yeah, it's a little acrylic pin.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I liked to get like a logo that I could print. And I actually made shot glasses for one of the other campaigns. And
Yeah.
I've still got a few of them. The shot glasses are actually etched with the design in them.
It's awesome. And you've got pens, and this is, what is this? There's like stickers there.
Yeah,
is
pens,
this for like stretch
stickers.
goals?
What did you say?
Is this like add-ons, or they're for stretch goals?
So no, these are actually in with a few of the rewards. So all the different packages have different items in them.
Yeah.
And depending on what you want, because a lot of people have come back for this, they've already got a lot of these items.
Yeah.
So I've tried to sort of split it. So if you haven't gotten sort of the collection throughout the years, I'll put these items in. But if you have, there's more newer ones added onto those tiers.
Awesome. And I'm looking at these artworks. These are different styles of artwork. So these are different artists that are working on this?
That's still Chris. They're just images taken from inside one of the comics.
Right.
The stickers were done by another artist named Eric Levold.
Right.
And these standees are Chris's. So these actually are like little figurines, acrylic figurines of the characters.
Right. I see a lot of these now becoming more popular. I mean, I've got, where is it? Gosh, you're moving stuff around all the time. But you know those X-Men, like they put out these large pins, and
the big giant ones.
Yeah. So
yeah,
is it? And I looked at that and I thought that's pretty cool, because when I have a background in art, right, and filmmaking and sculptures and glass and all that, and jewelry. So when we were doing jewelry, we were doing enamel casting. I never thought that like those things would have, if I stuck with that, all these years later, they would be so helpful. Like when I was doing ceramic sculptures, doing like spaceships and stuff, I never thought about I should learn how to do, apart from this one time where I did a Wolverine made out of margarine, right? Battling, I think it was one of the other characters. It was set off, an actual Wolverine, like a 10-inch or 12-inch Wolverine made out of actual margarine that I got a bronze medal for. That was the only one time that I actually did a 3D superhero statue. But I never actually thought that that experience and that tutorials and those 3 years of like doing that stuff, if I stuck with it, I would now know how to do a friggin' sculpture of one of my figures, and would be able to do it myself and and cast it and put it out there. But now I got to find someone else to do the 3D design, create the digital, a figure, and then now we got to send it to China to create, update, and then also create a frigging copper, copper mold of it. And now that and you got to pay so much to do that. Like I'm looking like in Australia, right? With like let me get out of this one here. We'll come back to it soon. With Australia, right? Do you guys actually have people who do like short run toy designs? I know in Japan it's really, really popular, right? So you'll get something like figures like this, right? You get figures like this. Let me just pop in there with solo that. So these artists, right, will create, and Koreans like would create like these little figurines, and inside there is something inside there. I think there's a skull in there or something. I've never opened it, and but you look at them, see the colors? I mean, it's the same figure, absolutely same figure, but inside there's different colors. So there's a bright blue in there, and here it's a yellow one. So these guys have done these short runs of toys and figurines that, like, arms move, legs don't, heads don't, but you got these little, like, look at this button here, right? They've created this as like, and I was learning about them on YouTube this week about how they actually do these things and why. And like, you have to actually, sometimes you actually have to go into a lottery to actually be able to buy one, right? Because sometimes they only do like about 20 or 30, and that's all. And it's such a, such a cool thing. And I was wondering, like, I put a word out in the toy collection, toy collectors for Facebook pages, and I said, is there anybody who does that in New Zealand? Because I would like to do that, do our thing locally, right? And then not just for us, you could do it for other comic book creators, other figurines and stuff. And for when we were doing, like, I'll show you this thing, our character in Critical. I raised, I think I raised about $50, and then I paid my own $100 to actually get someone to design this for us as a 3D STL file, and of Incredigo, and it's pretty solid because it's 3D, it's got everything in there. But like, now we're looking to actually get a figure done of that. Now, have you thought about that for yourselves? Because now you're doing acrylic, right? You're doing shot glasses. You're going there. Have you thought about actually doing not just
figurine from Woe to Go? I've actually been priced. It's 20 grand.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
I can. What I'm thinking of doing is moving forward with sort of what is it? The resin 3D printed figurines.
Yeah.
That would be step one. Maybe making a mold of that, getting them heavily sort of molded out and poured and stuff like that, so you could quickly have like 100 of them. The biggest problem I find is painting. Finding somebody to actually paint them.
I've had this since like April, and I haven't painted it. I've sanded it down, and I'm thinking, like, I should paint it. I'm like, I keep showing it as red. I should paint it in, like, and the costume, like she's supposed to be now, right? And with her eyes, with a mask like that, and people will probably appreciate her more. But like, imagine having to hand paint 100 of them,
So I actually watched a video of this, of how they made one of the Wolverine statues, funny enough, and they do it all by airbrushing. So they sort of set the airbrush up and do it in big batches, which was really cool to watch. But yeah, that's where the money comes into it.
Wow.
And I think that the series would have to get maybe to issue 6, maybe put in a trade before I even look at the big figurines. But I'm getting big versions of the girls for the table. They're about 30 centimeters high in the acrylic.
Right.
So they'll look really, really cool, and I'll stand them on my little shelf of books when I'm not taking them to conventions.
Yeah. Like having standees and stuff, like, it's just such, seeing those figures in larger than life formats, that you've created. It's just such a, pleasure, right? It's like,
it's a buzz, and you sort of sit there and you're like, oh, they're kind of real.
Yeah, it's right there. Awesome. Hey, let's go back to this one here, and then we've got another 10 minutes, and then we'll finish off. So we're here. This is the standee, right? Or is this the acrylic?
No, it's the same thing. It's basically a acrylic front, and the image gets put in there. We've actually got glitter ones and holographic ones.
Oh, wow.
So depending on which one you order, you'll get one of those different ones. Shane, you need everything of mine.
Well, it's good to
Yeah.
have someone like, that really appreciates, your work. I mean, I've got like, it's a similar thing that we've got with Shane's artwork. There's a lady that actually buys all his artwork all the time. And
Well,
we're
I've
talking
got,
about like,
we
we're talking
actually
about
had
carry on.
pieces of art on the table. And
Mm,
one convention, a guy from a tattoo studio came by and he bought two pieces and he said, now they're hanging in my tattoo studio. And I was just
awesome.
like, wow,
Yeah.
that's such an honor.
Mm. You know what the next thing would be, right? Is to give him a couple comics, and say, sell this on behalf.
Yeah. Just
You
put
know,
these on your counter and we'll be good.
yeah, posters or whatever, the acrylic prints and badges or whatever, anything that go, yeah, like that. Well, why don't you buy one of these and support the artist? And I think that's that idea, that's that concept, like just stepping out of that, thinking that the comic is the only thing, right? And I think what you guys are doing here is showing that the comic isn't the final product. The final product is all these residual merch that you can sell to actually create a career for yourself out of, right? I mean,
Yeah. And it's a lot of fun with the merch. I really like getting it back.
mm,
I actually, one of the older ones we did for a previous campaign was like a little card holder, and
mm,
I actually use it all the time. So
right,
it's fun to get these things back and
yeah,
just go, oh, I can play with this. Like I've always got a Fox and Hound pen on my table.
right,
Um, yeah, most of my friends, I've just chucked pens at them, and I'm like, "Do you need a pen? Here's another one." Um,
right,
but yeah, it's. I think one of the campaigns I did temporary tattoos,
yeah,
and I took them to a convention. We all just started pouring water on our arms and just coating ourselves in these stupid temporary tattoos, which was just so much fun, And
yeah,
I think it gets people engaged. It gets people excited about the book,
yeah,
which is the end product, but all these little things make people want to come over and have a look.
right.
Oh, there's a shot glass there.
Yeah, so I was looking at but you've also got the t-shirt there as well. So,
Yes,
I was thinking about like, how do you get like all these merchandise, like they're all different different items. Are they from different suppliers, and how do you work
absolutely
with
they
all these
are.
suppliers to get them?
No, I have to basically coordinate all these different places that
Mm,
I print from. Um, I stupidly started overseas and
yeah,
then realized the cost of that, brought it back to Australia,
yeah,
started researching how much things will cost, how much it
mm,
will charge to ship it to me, and
yeah,
all of those things. So yeah, I've got them all saved in a really big spreadsheet. Like I'm a organizational weirdo.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's sort of trying to find things that match your series as well.
yeah,
Like, and then practicality, what would you want as a consumer of
mm,
not just the book, but as a fan? And I do
right,
that myself. I'm a huge fan of comics.
yeah,
And one of my big things that I always sort of pick up is anything that I can use in a practical sense.
right,
So if I can, have a phone cover, or, one of my big things is I just bought the rings from the lanterns and I wear them.
right.
So, you're just trying to match what people would want in a
Mm.
campaign as well.
I mean, I collect hats and t-shirts, right? Like,
Yeah.
I bought this like at a hospice because it was about $5, but it
Mm.
has Spider-Man on it. It's like a bikers, like not like a two-wheel biker thing, right? Race.
Like a cyclist jersey.
That's the one, cyclist jersey. And but everything I kind of almost have, like t-shirts, long sleeves and stuff, is all pop culture related, comic
Yeah,
book
same
related,
here.
movie related. And then hats, right? Like I've got I've got a hat right in front of me from like Captain America, which says Legend. Today, I actually ended up buying. Gosh, did I put it up there? I think I did. So today, I ended up buying. You know, this was on special. This is this one here. Because I mean, like, I collect hats, I collect masks, I collect toys, plushies, you name it. Like I'm, because that's my, this is my jam, as they say. And so you got the Hank Pym, Pym Technologies hat. It's $5 from EB Games. I'm not sure what you guys call it, but that
Don't we have
company in
EB
America.
Games?
Yeah, so we've got EB Games here, like, and I've good relationship with the owners there, or the managers there, and I found out one of the sales ladies, she's actually an artist, and I was telling her about her comics and go, oh, I do this, and say, you know what? How about you color one of our, our ink pages, our covers, and let me see, you know, what if you want to do that or not. Have a look at this, and I just sent her a bikini cover because we're doing a series called The Tortoise, which is a manga series. It's actually right to left, top to bottom, and it's actually all back to front reading. So because I want to actually for over a decade create a manga book, and now I got the opportunity to do that with The Tortoise, which is a story about Amber and her fiance Kirsten, right, who go on a kind of like an OE overseas trip in search of this thing that Amber's searching for, that she found in a mystery way. And that's about some mythical supernatural tribe that is able to do something special. And so they're on a boat, and I asked my artist, who was James D. Hill. He's also working on a comic book for us called Templeton, right, Rise and Fall. And he did the cover, and I got him to do 3 covers actually, 2 wraparounds, and and a front, 1-page cover. And they're on a boat in their bikinis, right? And it's a risque cover because it's a mature book. And I said, hey, Keelan, have a look at it and let me know if you want to do that. And this is the skin tone, and apart from the skin tone and hair, do whatever you want with it, because it'll bring your creativity to it, because I want to see it. And I just want to mention here Ryan Green. We interviewed him on our PlungeCast a couple of weeks back, so you can watch that on our YouTube channel, PlungeCast, one word, and check out what Ryan Green. I did interview, didn't I, Ryan? Just want to make sure. Sometimes I forget. I've talked to so many people, and you'll see other interviews there as well from people around the world. I mean, also an Aussie, Dean Rankin. We got him to, he was one of the first ones, and we also got, an anime voice actor. There we go. Yes, I did. Thank you for that. So we actually got to interview a voice actor from America who's actually touring, right? And he's one of the supporting of the English voice acting on there's a very famous soccer anime, right, really famous, and even the colors of the shirt from the anime was worn by the Japanese team. That's how big that anime is. It was during came out last year and just took over the world with the soccer, and because it's sci-fi and all that. But I got to interview him. So we get this allows us to talk to a lot of people, and I think our being able to connect just through other people like this, and be open to be able to bring other people on and showcase their work. Like, I mean, we're looking at Fox and Hound here. We're looking at T-shirts, and we're looking at the artwork, and we're able to say, hey, Nicole, love the work, let's get this out to as many people. We need another grant, basically, right, on this thing to succeed. And let me just go back up and just tell us a bit of a story, as much as you can, right? We have to issue 5 here. I think I'm doing the wrong one. There we go. Should have been using the mouse. So let me get back to the top, and we'll finish off with always try to do like a last 5 minutes with the last words from our guests. So I'm just going to ask you to, I mean, there's so much here, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. So there's something for everybody, basically.
Yeah. Now let me get right to the top.
It's
So
a
this
lot
is
of
issue
scrolling.
5. Now,
Keep scrolling.
since you're up at the 5, right? Are they able to get the last 4 as
Yeah, so
well?
basically in this one, like I said before, we are up to the crucial point in the story where if you have been reading from 1 to 5, you're going to find out what the deal is and why the girls have basically traveled to Russia after the death of their sort of informant.
Right.
We've found another character. Her name's Natasha, aka Minx. She's helping them along here, and we're starting to get the history of Hound's past, why and how she became an assassin, and why the king, who's the guy in the sort of Anubis-looking helmet, is after her.
Right. The
So
other thing I was thinking, like,
it's pretty action-packed, this one. It gives a lot away of the story, so I think the readers are going to be happy because up to now it's been kind of a bit vague and why they're there and what's going on. So we're coming to the conclusion of this whole arc.
Right. The other thing I was going to ask is, like, do you also do those not only as print but also as digital, like the last 4?
Absolutely, we do.
Awesome. Because I know, like, some people would want to back it, but they don't have the cash. I mean, like, everybody's at a certain level right now. I mean, we're in, I think we're in a recession in New Zealand, so everybody's tightening their belts so
everyone's
much,
in
right?
recession.
Yeah, and so it took a while to get to us, but I knew it will get to us, and we finally got to us. But, like, so everything's heavily priced, and so, I like the idea that, even we added a black and white to our campaign, that that people could actually read without actually, maybe the next time they might decide, I actually want a hardcover, like a printed copy next, when we put on issue 2. And
That's
I think,
it. If they want to read it, there's the PDF versions. And then when campaign 6 rolls around, they might go, okay, I really like that. I want to grab all 6.
Right. And that's the cool thing about this, right? With this process, it's like, they won't disappear. Like, I mean, I'm thinking about, like, the mainstream comics, right? So much gets released, and that's it. Or they go to second print or third print or whatever. But in the old days, there was only two prints, and that was it. You might have got a news, I think it's called a newsprint or whatever, like with this news agent one, and then there was a regular one that went directly to shops, right? That's all there was. And so if you didn't get it, you had to hunt it. Like, I had to hunt down The Boys years after the series had, like, almost finished, and so you kind of, like, if you come and find out later there's a comic that was written by someone that you actually enjoyed reading, and it passed you by and you didn't know. And I think this idea of actually, with Kickstarter, being able to add on the past issues onto it is amazing. I think, because that means not only do you have repeat customers, you actually have loyal customers who are actually going back, not only getting the digital, but actually getting the print versions. Thank you for your time, Nicole. And it's 7 o'clock here. I'm sure it's, like, I'm not sure what time it is where you are.
Oh, it's only 5 o'clock here, so it's not too bad.
Okay. So you're 2 hours behind us.
Yep.
So I'm going to let you do the final words and plug as much as you want. Talk, something inspirational or something, whatever you want to talk about. I'll give you the next 5 minutes, and we'll finish up with. We'll come back and we'll say goodbyes and finish up with that.
Oh no, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm really hoping that people jump on and have a look at it. Even if you can't back it, share it out. All the sort of attention helps. Like I said, Chris and I have absolutely loved working on the girls. It's been a project of passion, and we want to see them continue on, regardless if we get funded or not. The girls will be going forward. We want to get to issue 6, and then we want to start the next arc with the girls. So it's been wonderful being able to do comics, and it's been wonderful being able to talk about them for the last hour. It makes me very happy.
Cool. Thank you for joining us, and support Fox and Hound number 5. Like Nicole said, there's the other 4 are there as well. And if you can't get it like if you can't, if you don't seem to want to pay freight or whatever extra cost you want to do, grab the digital. You still get to read it, you still get to enjoy it, and that time will come when you're like, yeah, like we said, you might want to get the printed cover. You might actually want a special printed cover, right? You want to get the variant one, and it'll be such a cool thing to get that. And like, I'm at the moment right now going, which one and how and what, But our own campaign for Uncritical #1, the Gathering of the Five, we're about 40%. We're 1 week in, but we've still got, we're not taking our finger off the pulse, right? And same with this one, I'm sure Nicole doesn't want to take a finger off a pulse and just keep advertising, keep promoting on social media. Please share this video. Nicole, you can, download this or link and share it wherever you want, so people get to know more about it. And also, I want to thank Ryan for joining us, and also Nobi Comics here, who's been a good, kind of like a mentor, or tips guy about running a good campaign. And we've been feeding off that and changing things up. And it's our first one, and we'll get there, eventually. And hopefully, you guys will support Uncritical. And with 40%, like I said, we need about, I think, US 900, and we're at about something like about 400 or something. But hey, if you don't share, if you don't support, we can't, provide. And so the other thing is the other side of this that I didn't really talk about was the business side of this. There's a lot of businesses that benefit from one single comic creator getting this comic out there. You notice that there was a glass, shot glasses, there was card holders, there was T-shirts, right? Those are suppliers from merchant suppliers that supply those. Printing on that, you've got those guys who did acrylic. That's another company that's working to create that. So you're actually, by supporting a comic book, you're supporting a whole lot of different people earning a living off that, whatever little sum they get off it. And we're creating all these niche properties, I guess, that would love to be, out there in a huge way in the mainstream. But, just think about the back of that everybody else that this is riding on. And I think for us as individual creatives, we're able to actually look back and see other people benefiting from what we've created, right? The books, right? They get printed, right? So you got a printer who prints these books. And from that, the printing of that book, he's able to pay his, earn a salary and pay his workers who are working to put that book together. That sort of thing. It's just a single little thing of that, and I think sometimes we forget that. We forget how this all works, and it's not just us, just Nicole and Chris just put comic out there, unless it's just the digital, of course. But, there is Chris working hard and creating the artwork, and there's a long hours, both Nicole and Chris, work to create these books. And this is, we up to 5, which is amazing. And I want to thank you, Nicole, and I want to, shout out to Chris for his great artwork and all those other people that, done covers for you there. And really, you guys are small business, right? And you're supporting so many other small businesses by putting your work out there. And I think people forget that a lot. And I think I don't, because I work with a lot of small businesses and I get a support. So I always think about, as a business person myself, how many people are getting supported? And how much harder I have to work to make sure that they earn a bit more each time we do something more. So thank you for joining us. Wherever you are, be well. Thank you, Nicole. Support her book and support all the other books there, and support Niobe Comics. We'll get Niobe on sometime, and probably jump on his one. And I want to thank Ryan as well, for jumping in. And I think there was someone else that earlier on, and whoever else, like I said, we had Comics, not AU, Net AU. This is our first mature series that we're going to do with PlungeX, right? If you're a mature content creator, an artist out there, or writer, this is where you want to be. So I'm going to, we've changed things around a bit. So all ages, it'll be on PlungeCast. PlungeX will be mature content. And that came out of talking with Niobe, and coming up with how do we fix that issue of not being able to support all 8, mature comic creators like yourself and everybody else watching. Thank you for watching. Please share, like, subscribe to our page, on YouTube, and we'll see you next time. And wherever you are, ka kite anō. And farewell, be well. Thank you for joining us.